How can you connect a microscope camera to an iPad Pro? So hello and welcome, Microbehunter here, Oliver that is, and I received today another question about connecting a microscope camera to, in this case, an iPad Pro. And I'm going to read you the question first and then I'll give you a couple of options here. So the question is as follows. I need to buy a high-resolution camera that will work with my 11-inch iPad Pro for stills and video to use in my coursework. I'm having difficulty finding a combination that will be effective. Do you have any recommendations? Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for the question. If you want to use a combination of camera and microscope and iPad Pro for coursework, then I guess reliability is an important thing. So you do not want to experiment around a lot. So I'll give you a couple of possibilities here of what I was able to research and some of the limitations. There is no perfect system. I'm afraid that none of the solutions here are really cheap. Okay, generally there are two possibilities that you can go for, and one possibility would be to connect a digital SLR, digital single lens reflex camera, usually a Canon or Nikon camera, because they have the pretty good support, that you can connect those over Wi-Fi to your iPad Pro. So some modern Canon and Nikon cameras are able to transmit images and videos over Wi-Fi that you use as you just using the iPad for controlling the camera, and you're seeing the image that you want to capture, and then you record, and then the camera actually will record a high quality image, because the Wi-Fi generally is kind of low in quality because it's kind of slow to transmit a lot of data. So this would actually be the one possibility that I would probably recommend. There are other possibilities as well. Some microscope cameras, so-called C-mounted microscope cameras, are able to do the same thing. They make a Wi-Fi connection to your iPad, and then you're able to control the camera over the iPad. And in some cases, those microscope cameras are not able to record the video, and in this case the iPad must record it, and here you have to be again aware that maybe the image quality might not be quite as high because of the slow Wi-Fi connection, and of course also here you're dependent, just like with a DSLR, you're dependent quite a bit on the functionality of the provided app. So if you're not happy with the app, then yeah, you might not generally be happy with the system, because you might not have a lot of possibilities of choice of different apps, because they're provided only by the manufacturer of the microscopes, of the cameras. So these are basically two possibilities: DSLR or microscope camera, and then connect them over Wi-Fi. Now there are some microscope cameras around that you can connect over a USB directly to a tablet computer, and those cameras, they have a so-called a UVC, stands for USB Video Device Class, a UVC protocol, and this generally works quite well with Android. But what I was able to research, this is a problem with iOS because it's not able to recognize this. And some people have experimented around with this and somehow made it work, but then you're also not able to control the camera, and it's you need an expensive adapter, and I probably would not advise this. But if you say, okay, you want to use a microscope camera that has UVC, and you decide, okay, just for the purpose of displaying the images, I want to use a tablet in any case, then you can get yourself always a cheap Android tablet. Maybe this combination is even cheaper than trying to get additional adapters and trying to make it work with iOS, and where you might not even have the software available. So this is highly experimental, directly connecting it to a tablet PC. But there is now another possibility that I recommend, and that's a different option, and that is that some DSLR cameras and some C-mounted microscope cameras, they have a direct HDMI output. And this allows you to directly connect a monitor to directly connect a monitor to the camera. So what you're able to see is you're able to see a live image on a monitor without any intermediate computer. You just connect it directly. That's kind of nice. And then when you want to record a picture, then you simply record it directly over the DSLR camera. In my case, because I don't want to reach up to the camera and press the shutter release, I've got a infrared remote control that does that. Now there are a few C-mounted microscope cameras around that also allow you to do this. So you can directly connect then the C-mounted microscope camera to a monitor, and some of these microscope cameras, they also have built-in SD card readers, so that you're also able to directly record the video on the microscope camera. Now, what is my view of all of this? Well, I mean, much is a question of taste, much is a question of also how bulky the system is. I personally like the DSLR solution the best. The reason is the following: because I have the option for Wi-Fi, I have the option to directly connect it to a computer, to a PC computer, for example, and I have directly the possibility to connect it over HDMI directly to a monitor, the system that I'm using. So a good DSLR camera gives you quite a lot of options and very good image quality. You can also use the camera for other photography work, and you're not really spending it only for the microscope. Generally, DSLR cameras also have a large sensor size and a good image quality. Disadvantage, again, I have to say this as well, is you need a DSLR adapter to connect it to the microscope. And even though they are also not too expensive, the problem is that those adapters are only available for Canon and Nikon. You need a so-called a T2 adapter ring. And if you have a different DSLR camera, I don't know, maybe from Sony or whatever, then you need Panasonic. I don't know, there are several others as well. And you have to find an appropriate T2 adapter ring. And they are, to my knowledge, quite easily available for Canon and Nikon and not so easily available for other brands. And then sometimes it's like this, at least the DSLR adapter that I have, it has to contain optics. It does reduce the image quality a little bit. That's always a little bit of an unfortunate thing. The camera itself is able to capture at a very high resolution and a very high image quality, but then again you've got an adapter in between that destroys it again a little bit, because any optics that you put into the light path will degrade the image quality. So it could be actually better to directly connect a C-mounted camera maybe, but then again you have another trade-off. So it'd be smaller sensor size and so on. There's no perfect solution, unfortunately, and my suggestion here is it's a difficult suggestion really, is maybe to try to use this a little bit of what you already have available right now. So if you have a DSLR available right now, or if you can borrow one, then try to connect that first before investing a lot of money. So this is all a little bit of a problem, so to say. But I would say it depends very much on your highly specific use. So if you really want to share the image that you have with a class of students for coursework, for example, then I probably would say, okay, maybe you can somehow connect it directly over HDMI. And then if you want to take pictures, then you'd simply use a infrared remote control. It's not quite as convenient maybe as controlling everything over the iPad, but it works, and I've been doing this for quite a bit of time now, and it's given me the best solution so far. So that's basically my take on the whole issue. Unfortunately, no perfect solution here. But as a thing that maybe does not cost so much, is you might simply try to look a little bit around of what apps they have, let's say for Canon and Nikon and or for dedicated microscope cameras. Maybe you can download the apps and already start experimenting with them, even though you do not have the camera yet. Okay, so this would be my suggestion here, because what's the point of having a nice connection between camera and the tablet computer, and then you're not happy with the app or the functionalities of the app that they are provided? Okay, so that's kind of my take on the whole issue. Yeah, I hope that this was able to answer some of the questions and give you a little bit of a guidance here. I wish you a nice day. All the best, and bye-bye.